Galloway in southwest Scotland is one of Britain's last remaining wildernesses. It is comprised of the ancient counties of Kirkcudbrightshire and Wigtonshire and is a vast area of hills, moors, lochs, rivers and wild coastline, very sparsely populated. As early as 1620, the pretty little village of Portpatrick on the Galloway coast had been established as the port for the short sea route between southwest Scotland and the north of Ireland at Donaghadee in County Down. In 1856, plans for the route of the British and Irish Grand Junction Railway were tabled, but this pretentious title was changed to the more modest Portpatrick Railway. It quickly became apparent that Portpatrick was too small and too exposed to handle the regular ferry service, and so it was switched to the deeper and more sheltered waters of Loch Ryan at Stranraer. Castle Douglas and Dumfries were linked by rail in 1859, and the Portpatrick Railway completed the connection between the harbour and the border at Gretna 2 years later. The port remained at Stranraer, serving Larne Harbour in County Antrim and later Belfast, until the ever-increasing size of ferries compelled a move to new deep-water terminals at Cairn Ryan, closer to the open sea. The last ship sailed from Stranraer on November the 19th, 2011, and that was also the final run of the Paddy, the Stranraer to London boat train. The Cairn Ryan port had been a wartime development, it having been decided that an emergency west coast port should be established to continue transatlantic trade in the event that Glasgow or Liverpool docks were disabled by enemy bombing. It was linked by a single track to Stranraer. Sadly, this track has been built over, so no railway connection exists to the present port, which operates around the clock 7 days a week, but only caters for traffic arriving by road. The line across Galloway closed on the 12th of June 1965, since when through trains have had to use the enormous detour shown here, and this is the route which the Galloway Fifties will have to take. The Class 50, dating from 1967 to 8, was first used on the then unelectrified West Coast Main Line north of Crewe, so today's train will be on home territory. Starting at Tamebridge Parkway, it will pick up passengers at Birmingham New Street, Stafford, Crewe, Warrington, Wigan, Preston and Carlisle, before following the Glasgow and South Western line via Dumfries to Mauchline, and then the freight line by Anbank to Ayr, where it reverses before heading south by the spectacular single-track route through the Galloway Hills to Stranraer. We'll meet the train at Hollywood in Nithsdale, just north of Dumfries, at the last wheel-operated level crossing in Scotland. Up to now, the train had run more or less to time, but from here on it became progressively delayed, arriving at the Clyde coast some 50 minutes late. Having time to kill after my dash across Galloway, I took a narrow farm road into the hills above Cairn Ryan to watch the Northern Ireland ferries depart on a windy but beautiful morning. Stranraer Harbour station has been simplified to the point that it can no longer move a locomotive from one end of a train to the other, so one of the two Class 50s had to be transferred to the rear of the train at the passing loop at Dunragget, yet another cause of delay. With a very brief layover at Stranraer Harbour, the chaos around the station is best left to the imagination. I've edited most of it out. And so the 50s begin the long run home by the even longer route through Kilmarnock, and with a stop at Ayr to replenish the carriage water tanks. Later that evening, as the sun sets over Nithsdale, we see the Galloway Fifties once again in the Nith Valley, heading for Dumfries before turning east to follow the Solway coast to the border at Gretna Junction and the long home run down the West Coast Main Line.